How was your week?
It was good.
How are the pups?
Yeah, it's good. We did it every day.
It's true that they don't listen to us as well, I guess. I don't know, maybe there's more distractions.
I mean, most of the sessions were good, besides like maybe one, but, you know.
What are you seeing?
Sometimes with Laila, the connection is clearly like not there.
Okay. So there's special probes that you can pick up.
Yeah, no, we can get those.
Can you get the like adapter?
Yeah, it's meant for like, because she's got even though it's not long, she's got a fairly dense coat,
Yeah.
and that is probably what I'm struggling with. How's the contact on the little one?
Good. Yes, good.
Okay. And who are you having more trouble with?
I mean, I would say the only like negative thing about both of them is that if the connection's not there, they'll kind of just pull on the way home.
Sure.
Or just try to get home.
Okay.
But I mean, in terms of like all the other things, like trying to get them to sit when we stop. I mean, they haven't really done it on their own, but they kind of get it after a while, and then.
It's easier when you like push down, they'll like immediately do it, but they haven't been naturally going into it.
I guess another thing would be they kind of like are trying to play the game where they kind of know what we're trying to do, and so as soon as we stop, they'll kind of get ahead and try and turn around, which is kind of not what we're trying to do. But
What's your number?
I'd say like the high teens.
Okay, I go higher.
Okay.
So for a couple of things. One, for this one, if we have a hard time with contact
Yeah.
because that's one con to the e-collar, is that if I have a dog that's got a thicker, like Huskies or Samoyeds, Pomeranians, it's such a pain because their coats are so thick. I just keep going up and I make that connection happen, okay? Because if you try to adjust it and adjust it and adjust it, you're just gonna be constantly fiddling with it, okay?
Yeah.
So what I do is I just force the connection, simply by using pressure or using a higher level.
Okay.
And you could find yourself like at 45, okay? But she feels it like it's 15 because of the lack of solid contact. And then like if you tap on 45 after like 20 minutes of working and she yips, then I just go down to that 15 to see is now 15 gonna work, okay? Because if they're pressing the boundaries of everything, to me it sounds like it's just too low, plus poor connection.
Yeah, that would kind of make sense, I guess, kind of like on a personal level. I just kind of feel bad cranking it up too high, but.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been doing this 10 years, obviously, I was actually, the client just had before you were at 127.
Sure.
Okay, but we're dealing with a totally different problem. The dog is, we're on class, I think 4 or 5 today, and still struggling with like intense reactivity. So I was like, okay, we've done the nice guy approach, 127.
Sure.
And all of a sudden the dog is behaving much better, much more easily.
Right, yeah.
Okay, and I told her now it worked here, but I was like, now when you go home, tell me how it works for the next 2 weeks. So that's what's really gonna tell me if that's the answer, okay? Because it's just a muscle contraction.
Yeah.
I understand the emotional discomfort that comes with it, but you also want to think like you got a baby coming,
Sure.
right? And then that's where things can get really difficult because last thing you want to worry about is trying to push the stroller and walk 2 dogs at the same time, and you want to get over this hump, get all this done. Because I've worked with plenty of expecting or already had a baby, family, and especially after like the first few days, once the baby comes home, life's going to be chaotic. You're probably not going to do much of any training, okay?
Yeah.
Right? Because you're just acclimating and all that stuff, and then you're not going to get much of any sleep. So yeah, I've been through this a bunch of times. It's part of the process. We're going to take a tangent today, so you can keep working on that. I think this will also help give you something a little bit easier to really get more comfortable with the e-collar in terms of pressing and stuff, and it doesn't require you to leave the house. Okay, you can do this actually in your living room or whatever. Because we're going to need this as well once the baby comes, is stationary control. Okay, so I think people give their dogs too much freedom when it comes to kids. And even if they've like met kids before and they're perfectly fine, so I just tell them you want to keep them spaced out and stuff like that, give them time to acclimate to each other and things like that. And having a nice go here and don't move allows you to focus on the baby and not worry about what are the dogs doing, okay? So it's very simple to teach, very simple to do, very simple to practice. And I think, you know, especially in terms of just getting contact, it's gonna help you just practice a bit more with Laila here to get that consistency and just figure out like, oh wow, like yeah, she does need 30 sometimes, but it doesn't like she's not fazed by it in terms of like being in clear, painful discomfort, like that, okay? Any other questions?
I don't think so, just more practice and, you know, you'll get there.
And higher number.
Yeah.
You know, just make it happen, you know?
Yeah.
Because I'm not opposed to refitting it, we've done it, you know, but then if I'm in this, if I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have to learn this sooner or later,
Yeah.
until we get those contact points, and even with the contact points, it's much better, but it's not gonna be 100% consistency. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, so with this command here, this is what we call the place command. This allows us stationary control for duration work. So I'm guessing these guys have a dog bed.
They have crates.
They have crates?
They
Okay.
sleep in the crates at night, and then during the day they're on the couch.
Okay. Is there like, do you have like a blanket or a towel for them that they could use? Sure, okay. And you can get a dog bed if you'd like. We just need something to set a perimeter.
We do have a dog bed in the basement, or,
Yeah.
Yeah, you can move it, like,
Yeah.
you know, it doesn't have to be completely stationary. Elevated surfaces are nice because it really is distinguished for the dog. I step up to this, but it's not necessarily required, okay? The most important thing here is that we have something that gives a perimeter. Okay, so if there was a class, I keep one of these in my trunk, and I forgot to bring it with me. It was gonna be like a 5-minute walk to get it and back. I was like 10 minutes round trip, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just use my jacket. So I just took my jacket off, laid it on the ground, and we literally taught the same command with my jacket. Because it was grass and then my jacket.
right.
So there was an outline. Okay, and all the dog needs is the outline. So here we have the tile floor, and then we have the placemat, so it's a very clear, distinguished perimeter, okay? So this command, we first teach the send of go here, and then we have the go here and don't move until I give you permission, okay? So we're gonna work on the go here aspect of it today. The don't move aspect is fairly easy to practice. It's just a matter of making the time to do so, okay? So who are we gonna start with first?
Doesn't matter.
All right, sure, go ahead. So let's go and bring her up. And what's your number currently at?
I'll start off at 12, I guess.
Okay, so we're gonna start 12, and let's give it tap. Tap, tap, no response, let's go to 15. Tap, 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 no response, 18. Tap, 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 some response, 21. Tap, 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 24. Right, 27, we're getting close. Tip, 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 tip. Keep it where you're at, tip. There it is. Okay, so here, what we're gonna do is, you're gonna stand where you are.
Should I, like, when we're like leaving the house to start like our training, should I kind of like, before we even get going,
Yeah, find the
do
number.
this and see what is,
Because
okay?
if you go out assuming it's 12,
Yeah.
and then you waste time just doing all this
Yeah.
stuff. So here, we just took 30 seconds to a minute, and I'm like 20
Yeah,
seconds.
that's probably what I should do.
Yeah, so just any time before you go out. Now, you might find consistently, you end up at like that 25 to 35 range before you have contact. Then once you figure that out, then, all right, I just start at 25. So you're gonna get to that number
Yeah,
much
okay.
faster.
Sure.
Okay, so let's go ahead and shorten at least just a wee bit. That's good there. Now what you're gonna do, is we're not gonna say anything, is you're gonna be pulling, is it Laila or Laila?
Laila.
It's Laila, okay.
Laila
Yeah.
means night in Hebrew.
Oh, really?
She's like so black.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I actually had a dog whose name was Noche. It was a black
Nice.
lab,
Yeah.
and obviously Spanish, right?
Yeah.
So that one I do. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So for Laila here, you're gonna lightly pull forward, right? And you're gonna be tapping. We're not saying anything, and we're gonna direct her to go onto the placemat, okay? So once she goes on the mat, everything stops.
Okay.
Okay? So go ahead and lightly pull, and tap, tap, right there, and then tap. And relax, tap, pull right there. Wait a moment, relax your leash. Good. And we're gonna say break, break, good. And we're gonna walk away, we're gonna bring her back. We're gonna repeat that process a couple times, okay? So go ahead and come back. And Like pull, tap. Wait a moment. Tap, tap. Good, wait a moment. We're at what number now?
27.
Let's go down to 22.
Charlie, calm down.
Okay, and break.
Break.
Good, repeat that a couple more times. Yep, yep, good. Relax your leash. Wait a moment. Break, break. Good, 2 more. Yep, yep. Good, and relax. Break, break. Good, 1 more. Yep. Good, see how much, tap. Yep. Good, see how much quicker it's getting now? Yep, yep, yep. There you go, let's go to 25. Good. What we're gonna do here is now I'm gonna have you start sending Laila from a little bit further of a distance. So when you walk with her, you'll walk, but then come to a stop about 2 to 3 feet from, okay? You're gonna wait a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're gonna start tapping and then apply the leash pressure.
Okay.
Okay? Break, break. That's good. Yep. 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 And I'm gonna add one more thing. I'm also gonna have you keep stationary. Okay? So if anything, you'll choke up on your leash, so you can use more leash pressure to guide her.
Okay.
So that you stay where you're at. If needed, you can do like a little step,
Oh.
just to bring yourself a little bit closer. But we're gonna try to get her to go there on her own,
Sure.
without any walking. Okay?
Should I be going back and forth or just do like one side?
You can do it. Yeah, you can change it up. Okay, break.
Break.
Yep, that's fine. Right there. Good girl. Good girl. Break, break. Good, we're gonna do 3 more. Yep, yep, better, yep, yep, good. Break, good, 3 more.
I wish I had this thing turned on.
It's not turned on?
Yep, 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 there we go. Yep, good. Let's go ahead and turn his on so we can correct him. He's like, no, I know what you didn't do. Let me get, Cheryl, let me get
Off. Come on.
Cap here.
No.
Let me get down first. And Cap. Yep, there we go, wait a moment. Yep, wait a moment. Yep, wait a moment. Wait a moment. Yeah, right there. What is it, Laila? Laila. Okay.
Yeah, just sit right there, Margaret.
All right. Yep. Yep. Good. Good. Do 1 more. Break. Go tap Charlie. Good. And Laila. Right, good. Excellent. So we're going to do same thing. What's your number for her now?
25.
We'll go to the 27 again. And what we're going to do is after you send her, I'm going to have you start, so you'll, same thing, from distance, tap, she goes. Then I'm going to have you start to walk around, okay? If Laila tries to come off, you're going to use the leash pressure and the tap to get her to go back, but you'll stop moving. Once she's back on there, then you'll start to move again.
Okay.
Okay?
Should they have like their own?
They can share
area?
one.
They can share one?
Yeah, they can share one. They can have their own, but they can share one as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm. Break, break. Right. That was a good one because when you tapped, you Yep, yep. No, right on there. Gonna wait a moment. Now we'll walk around. Okay. Yep. Right, good. Yep. Yep. Good. Give a tap to Charlie here. Yep. Yep. Good. Walk around. Keep going. Good. Go ahead and come to a stop. Go ahead and cue the word break. Break. Good. We're going to try that 4 more times. Good. Good. Wait a moment. Break. Break. Good. And 2 more. Good. Yeah, and it doesn't matter what she does. See how she's standing? Like this is all perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Because she's within the perimeter of the space. Okay, so she can sit, stand, or lay down, I don't care. She just has to go to the object. Good. When it comes to a stop. And break. Break. Good. 2 more. Good.
I didn't press it with me.
So you didn't press it?
No.
So what we'll do is we'll tap first before the pull. Okay. So I want to make sure that the tap itself is what makes her respond. Okay. Good. Stop. Yep. And break. Break. Good. 1 more. Let's go down to.
Might have done it twice in a row. Actually.
Oh, you did twice in a
I
row?
think I like double tapped it.
Oh, okay. And go to walk around. Good. Break. Break. Excellent. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add in the word place. Okay? So everything's going to stay the same except now you're going to say the word place just before you tap. So same little distance, Laila place, tap, 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 and then I'm going to come with the pulling after the first 2 taps if she doesn't go herself.
Okay.
What I want to see is I say place, I tap, and Laila just goes there on her own without any leash pressure. So that's why we're coming in a little bit after. And eventually we're going to get to the point where we say place, she's just going to go there, and she's going to beat the punch or beat the tap itself, and that's fine. Okay?
Cool. Place.
Got it, good.
Walk in.
Yeah, do a quick little walk around. Good. When we come to a stop. Excellent. Break. Good. 4 more.
Place.
Good. Walk around. Good.
Break.
Good. 3 more. Right. Good.
Place.
Right. That was a good one. Right. Good. Good.
Break.
Good. 2 more.
Place.
Nice. And you see on that one,
Yeah.
where she
It's
starts
like
to move forward.
anticipating it.
Mhm. Break. Place. Nice. Oh, okay, that's okay. Yeah. There you go. Good. Very good. So, break. The progression was simply first teaching her that going there is another option to shut off the remote. Okay? So we use that leash tension to guide her, because she's not gonna like associate like, oh, tap, oh, there's a bed, let me just go there, right? So we use that leash to guide her, and then we just kept repeating, and then we flipped it so it was tapping, then leash, because I want her to think like, oh crap, like I've already done this a number of times, how do I beat this thing? And then once we applied the cue word, now she had technically a brief moment of like, hey, I said place, and if you move within a split second, you can beat the punch.
Right.
So then the third and fifth one that you did were really good, because as soon as you cued the word, she started moving her butt there, okay? So if I say place and Laila just goes on her own, or like starts to move, you can lay off the tap. Okay, so then she starts to learn, oh, if I do this when I hear this, I can beat the punch, and that's what we're trying to do. But that's why in the beginning, I always remote for everything. Because once I start to layer in the cue, the dog kind of learns like, oh, there's a brief window where if I perform fast enough, I can avoid the tap.
Sure.
And that's how I create that, okay? So we're going to switch dogs, we'll give Laila a break here. And let's go, what's his number on a little bit? His total number?
It's like 8.
Yeah, he's been kind of like, we've been starting at like 7, but
Okay,
I feel like he gets up to like 10, 12.
okay, so we'll start at 8. I'm gonna have you go to find his number just like we did with Laila. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so you can actually just start at 8. Good. Because what I'm looking for, remember, is that tap and then a bigger movement, and that's what he was doing. Okay? So we're going to start the same way we started with Laila, is you're going to start close and tapping and then leading there with the leash pressure.
Sure.
Okay? Go ahead. Good.
And yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Good. Let's go ahead and bump you out again.
Then just break and leave.
Correct. And let's give Laila here a tap. Tap again. Tap.
To make her sit.
No. Go ahead and bump it for Laila. Go to your 22. Tap. Tap. Great moment. Tap. Tap. Right. Wait a moment. Tap. Wait. What's your number now?
25.
Right, tap. I'm gonna bump it. So I'm doing this on purpose to help you guys learn about rate, increasing that range. Tap. Tap. Right, let's go ahead and bump it. We should see a response similar to Charlie, tap,
Yeah.
where she calms down. Yep. Yep, gonna bump it. Right,
I'm at 38.
yep, keep going. Yep. Yep.
41.
Yep. Yep, keep going. Getting close, looks like. Right, keep going.
I'm at 60.
Right, there's, now we get the switch, one more tap. Tap, tap. So we're just getting contact now.
Is that like her ear?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna bump it. Bump it. Okay, bump it. What's your number now?
78.
Okay, bump it. Try tap tap. There. Now, we still don't have connection though.
Yeah, so like if it did get connected, you could read that.
Because I know what 78 looks like, right? Like you saw what 27 looked like.
Yeah.
27 looked more than that,
Yeah.
right? Because you saw like a big jump.
Right.
Here you're at 78 and she barely felt it. So, but once I saw the twitch and I saw a connection, I just went tap tap.
Mhm.
And then they were able to settle her. So we don't have full connection, but we were able to achieve what we're looking for, which is to get her to calm down.
Yeah.
Now here, we didn't say down. We didn't say anything.
Yeah.
But when we tapped, you got her to relax. So what you essentially said was, don't be so anxious and attached to Charlie, because that's what's going on.
Yeah.
She was like trying to get back to him,
Yeah.
and that's all you did with that, okay? So when we start to get in those higher ranges, the reason why I'm not worried, one is because I know the dog's not gonna die. And I marked, like I said, 127 earlier, right? But two, if she's giving me 0 response on 60, it means we have no contact.
Right.
So by the time I get contact, it's not gonna be full power, is what I'm assuming. It may happen, and if she yips, I just dip it back down, it sucks, but, you know, then we just work our way back up again. Otherwise, if you're constantly in the realm of like, trying to be perfect, you're not gonna make any progress. Okay, we'll go back to Charlie.
12.
Yeah.
All right.
Good. Right. Good. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Good. Yeah. 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 Right. Good. Great. Break. Good. 2 more. Right. Good. Right. Yep. Yep. Right. Wait a moment. Yep. 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 Good. Wait a moment. Yep. 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 And you can break, if you, because he's moving the bed, right? You can also step on it to brace it so it doesn't move. There you go. Good. Good. Break. Break. Good. 2 more. Hey, we're at 12?
Yeah.
Okay. Right, there you go. Good. Break. Good, 1 more. Better. Break. Okay. Yep, yep, good job. Good. We're gonna go back just like about 2 feet and try to make him go from here to there without moving forward. Okay, and you might have to brace right here because he tends to push.
Sure.
Break.
I tapped her just a second ago.
Oh.
She went back.
Did you tap her at the current number? Did you
Yeah,
get
12, and she
She responded?
Yeah.
Right, good job. Good.
Don't even think about it.
Break. Okay, we're gonna try 4 more. Good, much easier.
As long as he can jump his short legs.
Break. Oh, look at that. Yeah, that's better. Break. Good, 2 more. Good. Break. Good. All right. Break. Much better. So now, same thing, but we're going to increase the distance to about 3 to 4 feet. There you go. You actually got it better than you did.
Yeah.
Break. 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 All right. You got it. There you go. One more.
I gave him the time.
Break. There you go. Very good. Now, we're going to go ahead and add in that word place. Okay, so you're going to do the word place, start tapping first, and then use leash pressure if needed. Break.
Is this a good distance?
Right. So,
Place.
very good. And then
Break.
We'll start on the next one. We'll start through the, there you go, the walk. Okay.
Place.
Good.
He's such an old man.
How old is he again?
He's
Like
7.
8.
Gotcha. Right. Good.
Break.
Good. Big one.
Place.
There you go.
And pressure.
Yep. And he started like when he said place, he started walking, so that's fine. It doesn't have to be quick, right? Also, because an older dog. Plays him. Okay. Good.
Break. Place.
Good.
And you have to
I didn't click it that time. I think if he's like,
As
if
long
he's
as
like
he's
not,
moving forward, we don't have to click, right?
Correct. Yeah, if you say place and he starts to actively move towards it,
Yeah.
he's fine.
break. As long as you're not moving towards it before I say it. Let her
Correct. Yeah, like right there, like that you're stopping him, that's good.
Place.
Correct. Yep, it's okay, he's thinking, he's doing it. There it is.
I just pressed it once.
So, go ahead and, we're gonna keep Charlie there, and we're gonna send Laila there as well with Charlie, okay?
Okay.
So get ready to tap for her.
Place
Okay.
Good girl.
and walk around.
Let's go ahead and tap Laila, tap, there you go, tap. And then I'm gonna take her leash, tap. Good. And then I'll just have you scoot that chair over a little bit, and you'll hold Charlie's leash, and you'll have a seat, okay? Tap. Okay. Yep. Then Laila. Good. All right. There you go. And then you can pass off the leash for her to hold. I'm gonna try something here. Yep. Yep. Admittedly, this is the first thing I've done 2 dogs at once. Yep.
Hang on. Up.
Yep. There we go. Good. And then go ahead and have a seat.
Me?
Yep. Yep. And yep. We'll handle the leash, and then you handle the remote. Yep. 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 All right. So there's two aspects to this. Okay, what you just taught right now was when you cue the word place, this is where they're supposed to go. Okay, so that's only half of it. Because then we saw like right now when we added both of them, now they're just both like just jumping on and off, right? So then we just sat there and we corrected it. I like that you didn't repeat the command, you just always went straight to the remote, which is exactly what you want to do. Every time they got off, and then when they both got off, you focused on one, you got Charlie back on there, then you focused on the other. That's the exact thing that you want to do. Yep. This is technically okay, good. So the next part of it is go here and then don't move until I tell you you have permission to, okay? And this is what we call duration command. So like when we train dogs here, right after we teach them how to go to the placemat, day of, we start doing 2 to 3 hours of go here, don't move, okay? So, but they make mistakes. You know, they don't go there and not move for 2 to 3 hours, and we have to correct it. But that's how we start building very reliable obedience, because we start pressing them above what most people actually need. Because imagine these guys as like little 3 to 4-year-old kids. You know, it's hard for a kid to sit still, right? So this is not only, you know, it's not so much physical control or physical exercise, it's mental. Because they want to move, they want to get off, they want to be over by at your feet, or they want to be playing or whatever it is, right? And I'm going, nope, for the next 30 minutes, hour, whatever it is, you're going to go here, you're not going to move, okay? Now, I personally don't care what they do when they're on the mat, right? So like Lila's right now, she's standing, kind of sniffing and stuff, and Charlie's just been sitting there. I'm fine with both of those options, okay? Because they're still within the perimeter of the place itself. So the reason why I like this command, a lot of my clients like this command, is because it's very simple to teach, and it's also very simple to reinforce. So like if we put a dog in a sit position, like Charlie is, if he got up, if he stood up or laid down, neither of those would be correct. We'd have to correct him for that, okay? Because sit is a very specific looking command. Same thing with the down. If they lay down, they can't sit, nor can they stand up. But with place, it doesn't matter what they do. Just don't get off of the area, okay? So it makes it a lot easier to work with the dogs. So when it comes to pressing the duration aspect of this, like I said, you can do as long as you want from the get-go. So you could go home and do 2 hours if you wanted, okay? Or you could do 30 minutes. I personally don't care, but you want to think to yourself, you know, when the baby comes along, what seems realistic to you, right? So like, what is it, the tummy time, I think they call it. So like some of my clients will complain that, oh, every time I lay down on the floor with the baby, the dogs come running, okay? So then I'm like, how long is your tummy time? Oh, it's 45 minutes or whatever. And they go, okay, well then you're gonna need to practice like an hour plus, hour and a half maybe, of outside of tummy time, the dogs are doing this. So then you've already practiced this, and it's solid that when you add that factor of distraction of you going on the ground, they're gonna make a mistake, but it's gonna be much easier to correct. So then within a couple of times, you're able to send them, do your thing with the baby, and not worry about the dogs charging and trying to jump all over you, okay? So we do have a cheat system here. So I have several columns in my facility, and we have a mat next to each column. And at the base of each column, we have a leash tether. So we'll send the dog, and then we clip them to the leash tether, and we walk and we start training another dog, okay? So then as we walk away, that dog thinks, hey, you're leaving, I guess my job is done, and they try to escape, but they can't go anywhere because they're tethered. And we could be across the facility, remoting and adjusting it to correct them to go back on without even needing to touch them, okay? And, you know, 20 minutes can go by, and you'll start to see them try to sneak off again. And again, we're, you know, 30 feet away, tap on the controller, on the remote, dog goes right back on again. So then the dogs are like, oh wow. It doesn't matter what you're doing, nor how far away you are. If I think about escaping, this goes off and I have to get back onto the placemat, okay? If you don't have, like, some places have like those old school radiators. So like in the summer, because they were off, I told clients like you can use the radiator, just tether your dog's leash to the radiator. It's not gonna go anywhere. Put the bed, so then, you know, they would be cleaning and leaving the room and stuff. And they would just watch their dog. Whenever the dog, like they're sneaking off or snuck off, they would just remote them. But they couldn't pull anywhere because they were tied to that radiator, okay? So some people use like a dinner table or whatever, or like a couch leg. Anything heavy enough and sturdy enough that they cannot pull,
Yeah.
okay? Otherwise, if we start and we do this the long way, which is, it's simple, it's just gonna take longer to get there, is I always start at my feet, okay? So like, I'd have the bed here to me, I place the dog, I step on the leash and shorten it a little bit, so in case they get up and move, I'm gonna feel that movement on the leash, and I can check in on the dog to see what they're doing and correct them if needed, and I'm working at my computer, okay? And then like 30 minutes later, I start to feel the tug, and I look, and then maybe they're trying to sneak off, I just start tapping, I try not to touch the leash, they hop back on again, I go back to doing my work. 20 minutes later, they try again, I tap them, they come back on, I go back to doing my work, right? So you're telling them, look, when I send you here, you can try to escape, or run away, or do your own thing, but this is gonna happen, and there's no way to get away from it, other than to not step off of the place itself, okay? So the first week is always at your feet, and you can do as long as you want. So if you're like working from home or you're gonna watch a movie, movie's an hour and a half, 2 hours long,
Yeah.
that's when you're doing it, okay? So, again, I don't care what they're doing, sitting, standing, or laying down, I just care that they don't leave the perimeter, okay? Now let's say they started to play with each other on the placemat. That's technically okay, because they're within the boundary, okay? Unless you see one actively like jump off the area, like shake off to play, whatever you remote there to correct because they stepped off. But otherwise, they could chew a bone, play with each other, sit, stand, lay down. As long as it's within the perimeter, it's perfectly fine. Okay, questions so far?
Kind of want to think of like an area to use. It's like we have like a small bed, but like definitely
I
not
feel like
for
we should
both
just
of
go
them.
get one like these.
I mean, you can do a bigger one. You can do individual ones. You can use. I had a client that had a really big area right, and they're like, "Can that be placed?" And I said, "Yeah. It's just your dog's place is so big that they can walk around." Sure. So it can be a mat, it can be a towel, it can be a yoga mat, it can be a dog bed, small, big, whatever. If you get one for each of them, I just recommend that you get one big enough that they can fit on comfortably. Because if you get one too small and then parts of them are hanging off, you don't know if they're like hanging off because there's not enough space or because they're pressing a boundary.
Right.
So like my kitty, when she was a puppy, and I taught her place, I put her there and then I would leave to like make a sandwich or something, and I'd come back and she'd be like this. Okay? She'd be completely off, literally one toe on the bed. Okay. So yes, dogs are very smart. They will play that boundary. So like, let's say you do this play stuff with Charlie earlier. I don't know if you saw, right?
Yeah.
The time you stepped on the ledge there. That's the brain thinking about, hey, I'm done. I'm tired of sitting here. Okay. He's still within the area, right? So we didn't correct. But then you might see like it starts with one paw, then a second paw, then a little bit more. And the moment you recognize that, that's when you would tap. Okay, don't wait for them to be halfway off the placemat before you correct them, because then they're going to learn, oh, I can get halfway off, and they'll keep doing that pattern. Okay. When you go home, don't just expect that you're going to say place and they're going to know where to go. You're going to have to go back to the initial way of how we taught it, with tapping and leading, but they're going to get there much faster because you've already done the foundation. It's going to be the exact same thing, but a new object.
Sure.
Okay. Once you feel like you get that fairly reliable send, then you can start cueing the place with the tap, but still practice leading them if needed. You can practice these things at the same time. So like, let's say, I would say each dog, 2 to 3 minutes of the send. Okay, place, good. Walk around, break, place, right? That's the send part. And then later on in the day, you can do the duration part, where it's like we're gonna pop on a movie, we send both the dogs to their places or place, and then we have the leashes on, and we just watch a movie for an hour and a half. Okay, so you can work on both things at the same time. Once you feel like they got the send really well, where you can say place and it's fairly reliable, you don't have to worry about practicing that anymore. Now I just go to application. Okay. This isn't me. Dogs sleep 16 to 20 hours a day. You're just picking where they're doing it. Okay. They don't sit there thinking like you're being mean or whatever, that they're in timeout or anything like that. That's human thinking. Don't be surprised if they struggle a bit because if they're used to doing their own thing within the home, and then you're like, yep, not anymore, you need to stay still, you're gonna have some struggle there. Okay. Let me think here. I probably in the beginning isolate each one with the practice of duration, and then once you feel like they're fairly consistent at it, if you wanted, and if you did like a one big place, then I would do both together. Okay, just to make things easier, just like with the leash walking. So like today, we were gonna do that, but the floor was busy. So instead I was like, well, we can do this, and you start working on this within the home, and it gives you more time to work on the healing stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like a typical day, we would do like our kind of leash training outside and doing this place training inside, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the descent is easy, 2 to 3 minutes a piece, each dog. So a total of like 4 to 6 minutes, total. And then the duration, again, you just send the dog, help them there, and then you keep them there for whatever period of time you want them for. The release, of course, is the same thing we use for the heel break. Means your job is done. You can, move around, hop off the air or whatever. If the dogs lay down on the place by themselves, it's not a place. They chose to go there, so they're free to get off if they'd like. That's not going to cause any confusion with the training. Other questions?
That seems pretty.
Yeah.
This will be fun, I guess.
It's simple,
Yeah.
and I think it'll help you figure out more so the number stuff, right? Like today we went up as high as, the 27 for Laila, and then
Yeah.
got 70 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you saw,
I think one thing that like I just didn't really know, and now that you told me, it will make everything easier. Is like kind of before we go on our walk, let's try and find that number, and I think that'll help a lot.
yeah, so do it before you do anything, right?
Yeah.
So first get that pee and poop out the way. Yep. Oh, she's good.
I was ready. I had a finger.
Yeah. First start with the pee and poop, get that out the way, right? After they're done, find that number.
Okay.
Once you find that number, start your walk.
Sure.
Because what happens when you're walking is since they're moving, it's hard to recognize, are you feeling it or not?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Whereas if they're stationary and you tap them, like give a tap on Laila here. Tip, tip. See how there's no response, right? She's still stuck in the same state. Go ahead and pump it. Here's the click. Try again. Yep, Laila. There. See that shift? Okay. So what's your number now?
18.
So you went from 12 to 18?
Yeah.
So 12, I'm assuming 12, 15, 18, right?
I probably did one in between.
Yeah. So here, when there was no contact, she was just standing.
Yeah.
Then as soon as you hit 18, she like looked around and put her butt down, then lay down. That's the clear distinction, right? Now when we're doing the walking, I want a little bit more speed, so like we want a bigger jump because we need to create movement, okay? This is a more passive exercise that if you try to do too much power, it's gonna make them run off,
Sure.
okay? So there's no such thing as too much with this command because it's not redundant, it's just go there, don't move, okay? So the first week at your feet, as long as you want, what I suggest if you're gonna get up, like let's say you're gonna get some water or something, before you get up, don't assume they're gonna just stay there and walk away. You have to build to that, okay? I say break first, then I get up, go do what I need to do, and then resend them if I'm going to, okay? Or they can be done. The reason why we want to do the break before the stand is if you stand and then release, they're gonna pick up on that pattern. So every time you stand, they're gonna think you're gonna release them, okay? So we flip it. We do that for a week. If you've practiced that well enough, the second week, they're still at my feet, but now I'll get up and not release them and go do something. Okay, because we've got a lot of foundational corrections that if you have to correct them for trying to following us, it should be much easier, where you can start walking around and all that stuff. The third week, if everything's going well, is I place the dog a little bit away from me, something like this. Okay, so I'm not reliant on having them tethered to me or anything. And then, moving around, whatever, watching TV, duration. And the fourth week can be, okay, the dogs are completely away from us, being stationary while I clean the house and walk around and all that, because you're trying to build to, if the baby's on the floor or if I'm on the floor with the baby, we need them to be able to be away from us and know not to run towards us. Okay? Let me think here. This is the easiest command to practice, but people blow it off all the time.
Sure.
because it's so easy. And here, it's the one thing that we practice, like we drill it out so much. You know, the dogs will do 2 to 3 hours, like 2 to 3 times a day for our boarding trains, because they wake up, they go potty, they're immediately placed. We get all the other dogs ready, we get the other dogs fed, they eat at place. Then we might run a play group, and then we'll start the training process. And after the training, they get a potty break, maybe some daycare time, play, back on the placemat. You know, it's just a constant, like, you're not doing anything. Dogs walking by, people walking by, you know, dogs playing, a lot of stuff going on, and they just have to be chill, okay? This is technically something you could use like when guests come over too, if they're like really big jumpers of people. Now you technically have 2 options here. One would be place, right? Then your guest comes over, and if you've practiced and you reinforced this well enough, they don't do anything. They might be excited because someone's there, but they can't leave the area, so they're contained. So you're preventing them from jumping on people because they can't get to them, okay? Now that's one answer, but technically, like let's say you release them, what do you think might happen?
They'll run and jump on.
Yeah, they're gonna jump, right? Because they're on their own time, they're free to do that. So then the other approach would be, I'm on the remote, and if I release them and they start jumping, I start remoting. I personally don't say anything, because I'm trying to teach the dogs that the act of jumping themselves, that itself, is what is creating the correction. If you say no, and then correct them, they think that they can jump until you say no.
Gotcha.
Okay, because like humans know, like if I said, don't go through that door over there, like you already know, like all right, when I walk past it, I'll look at this door. You just know that. For a dog, they can technically do something until they're told not to. They have,
Yeah, turn it down.
yep. 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 Right there.
I was up to 36, and I don't think it was working.
So here, I could tell when it started work, Tip. Keep going. Yeah, we'll focus on one than the other. There.
70.
Yeah.
And
she's
did you
barely.
did you think it was affecting?
Yeah, at the end when you hit 70, because when you saw me pulling, notice that she wasn't fazed by it, right? I was, yeah, so right there, I know she feels that. Because I'm putting just enough pressure to prevent her from moving forward, but not enough to move her, okay? So earlier when you hit 36, she was going like this, and right away when you hit 36, I felt this. She eased up on the pressure, okay? So then when you hit 70 over here, I again felt her ease into it, same thing over there. Okay, so that's why when you do this, you're doing just enough pressure to guide them, but not actively pulling them there because you're doing all the work.
Right.
So when you go home and you put some pressure, maybe it's a new object, and she goes like this, play with that number and you'll feel it. Because the moment, yep, almost. Okay, there you go. Good. So you see how I just like prevented her, and then once you, what was that number there at the end?
I think it was like 80.
80. Okay. So then she felt it. You saw the full power, or not the full. That was still like maybe like that was probably go 50 to her. She, when you hit 70, I started to see her already kind of moving backward. And then when you hit 80, it was a real big alleviation of
I think her like
pressure.
arm or head was turned, so it's probably like pressing on it too.
Yeah, because when they go like this, it creates a fold. So sometimes it you can lose contact. We get this a lot with puppies. Like this guy said, he's got like the wrinkles.
Yeah.
Is that the pros
He's
get?
got such a long neck.
Yeah. So what we do is we just pull all the excess skin down to make it as flat as possible, so that we get more consistent contact. But as you get used to it, like there, you progress pretty quick, right? Is as you get used to it, you'll be able to like look and just know like, yeah, I'm gonna need to go 30 levels before I'm gonna get any kind of contact, okay? If she yips, no big deal. I just go back down again, and then just keep working through it until eventually we get either, you either will just learn this and just naturally just adjust, or if you pick up those pros, that can create more consistency in terms of connection, that we're not having to be so drastic in the levels, okay? But good, that's exactly what we do in troubleshooting. We do it here all the time.
Okay.
Okay, we have a dog, he's a golden doodle, very dense fur. Even with the probe, I think his number's like 8793. Okay, but you look at him and it's like the tiniest little contraction because all that fur is getting in the way. Okay, so this is something also when you're working outside, same concept. Okay, so I can tell you they have a very good idea of what it is they're supposed to do with the heel. Okay, because I've seen them be able to do it.
Yeah.
It's just that the number and the connection hasn't been good. So now you're just like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make it
Yeah.
I
happen.
think we'll be able to get it
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. So this is a nice exercise to practice with because it's very simple. It's just go here and you can learn how to adjust that more. And then when it comes to correcting the behaviors and stuff, like prematurely breaking, like right there, all I did was just enough to keep her from progressing forward. This ultimately made her retract and go back to the behavior that she was doing. Okay? Questions?
So can we move the place around?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you use, let's say you use the same bed for both of them and throughout the home, you just move it to the living room, dining room, the basement, whatever, and they'll learn to recognize that object.
Okay.
Or you can also have one in the living room, a different one in the dining room, a different one in the basement. But you have to teach them individually. Okay. So and then dogs. So if you're in the basement and you say place, they're going to go to the one in the basement. They wouldn't go to the one in the kitchen. Okay, they're going to go in the one within the context that they're in. You can also move it within the room so they don't get too wrapped up on I go to this specific spot. Because if you feel it too much in one spot and you remove it and you say place, they're going to go back to the original spot. Okay, so then you have to help them to realize that, hey, we moved it, it's over here now. Okay. Other questions?
Pretty straightforward, I think.
Yeah, this was an easy one. It's a good one to practice inside the house and stuff.
Yeah.
Get a little bit more used to remote color.
It'd be nice to do something in the house.
Yeah. Let me think here, anything else on this? We got the word already, we got the duration aspect of it. Different ones, moving things. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
They can bring like toys and stuff onto their place?
Yes, now if they bring a toy and the toy rolls off or something,
They can't go.
they can't go for it. So that used to happen when I pit. I'd give her bones and it'd roll off, and then she would cry. But then I stopped doing it because she would intentionally like roll them off to get me to bring her something. Swear to God. Okay? So yeah, dogs will play games with you. Okay? But yeah, they can chew on a toy, chew on a bone, play with each other and all that stuff. They just have to stay within the perimeter.
Okay.
If you see every time you give them like a toy, they get too excited and hop off, then I would say they're unable to do it because the toy distracts them too much, that it leads them to make that mistake.
Okay.
Okay? We'll go into the word break.
Break.
Good. And there's one. Good job. Much better.
Yeah.